Oh, somebody's here. Hold on. Hey, come on in. Yeah, it's kind of dark. Go lay down. Go. Sorry. Oh, well, thanks for coming over. Elk Morning at the Battle of Pryor Creek, as interpreted by A.J. Achin and Sabrina Half. Elk Morning and Chief Praise in the Morning are fictitious characters from the Lily, Good Path, and Elk Morning book series published by Bagada LLC. Achin and Half are authors in all Bagada books. Praise in the Morning is Sabrina Half's Indian name. The Battle of Pryor Creek, the Crow Absalaga name for Pryor Creek, is considered by the Crow elders to be the most important event in Crow history. The battle story has been told and retold, with the site established as a National Historic Landmark. Placing Elk Morning and his friends in the battle is fiction. The places are real. Many of the events are real. Check the description for more info and links. Elk Morning and his grandfather, Chief Praise in the Morning, were members of the River Crow Band of the Absalaga, which ranged north of the Yellowstone River. Other bands of the Absalaga were called Mountain Crow and Kicked in the Bellies. For the last few weeks, they have encamped near the Bighorn River, east of the Pryor Mountains. The women prepared meat from a recent hunt. The men told stories. The children played games handed down from generations. They beaded beautiful clothes and regalia. They took pride in how they trained their vast herd of horses. Above everything, the Absalaga Crow loved their families. Elk Morning said, "Grandfather, my friends witnessed my first coup when I captured my horse Buffalo Wind. Since then, I have witnessed each of them also count their first coup. We think it's time for us to count coup again." Chief Praise in the Morning said, "Be patient, Elk Morning. We live in dangerous times. Your opportunity will come. Look around you now. Our lodges are full. Our racks are hanging with meat. We know how to produce great taste and beauty from our land. You and your friends need to prepare to defend it and protect our people. You should build a sweat lodge and pray for guidance." Chief Praise in the Morning had reason to be concerned. The Crow considered their land to be along the Yellowstone River, from the Wind River Range on the south to where the Three Rivers meet, the Three Forks, on the north. Crow land was considered the richest in natural resources and abundant with food. Chief Praise in the Morning said, "The other tribes covet our land. They are hungry. Their buffalo meat is being depleted. I understand, Grandfather. I will paint my medicine symbols, the elk and the wolf, so that I am ready for battle." That night, as Elk Morning and his grandfather were talking, scouts from an alliance of enemies were watching them, trying to determine the strength of this band of Crow. The spying scouts had traveled from a gathering not far to the east of where Elk Morning and his grandfather were encamped. Several great nations had been called to move into the good country of their traditional enemy, the Crow, because it's still untouched by the ever more numerous white men. The same evening, Elk Morning was alerted by two strangers approaching their camp. He ran to meet them and threw up his hands in front of their horses. "Stop! Who are you to come into our camp?" The two warriors said, "We are the sons of Night Chief, who is half Crow. He has sent us to warn you." Elk Morning said, "Wait for my grandfather." Night Chief's sons gathered in front of all the Crow chiefs and explained that their father had just left the council of an immense gathering of enemy tribes who were intending to attack the Crow Absalage. They said, "Our father sent us to warn you. He told the council, 'I will not fight my own relatives. This is not an Indian war you are planning. To destroy another tribe is wrong. I don't want any part of it.' Chief Praise in the Morning said, 'Your father is wise and brave to send you to warn us. This war is wrong, but this is our land. If we defend it with all of our strength and intelligence and all of our medicine, we may survive.' Chief Praise in the Morning and the other chiefs listened to the warning from the sons of Night Chief. They had to work together and quickly come up with a plan. Grandfather told Elk Morning, 'Gather your friends to help all of our families. Take only what is essential. We will break camp and leave much behind. We leave now.' Elk Morning asked, 'Where are we going?' Grandfather said, 'We will go further into our land. We can be at Arrow Creek tomorrow evening, traveling light and fast. Arrow Creek has steep inclines and is narrow in places that only we know how to defend. But you and your friends stay here.' Elk Morning asked, 'What do you want us to do, Grandfather?' He said, 'Without being detected, find out just how many warriors our enemy is bringing. Then join us and report.' Elk Morning remembered his vision from before, his first coup capturing Buffalo Wind. Then he saw signs painted on Buffalo Wind that foretold his future. There was lightning, meaning power and speed. There was a handprint, meaning the horse brought the warrior back from a bad battle, and a circle around the eye, giving the horse keen vision in battle. There were horse tracks, meaning a stolen horse. This sign Elk Morning achieved when he counted his first coup. He could now paint it on Buffalo Wind. The remaining signs Elk Morning hoped would come true. Chief Praise in the Morning also told Elk Morning, "I know you want to count coup, but this is not the time. If we are outnumbered as I think we are, we must work as a team, not for individual glory." Elk Morning and his friends Strong Mountain, Brave Hunter, Sacred River, and Cary's his bow heard the wise words of the chief. Strong Mountain said, "My friends, we are brothers. We want to witness each other achieve these courageous deeds. But today, we must focus on making sure our people survive." Brave Hunter said, "I agree. We should all pray and prepare for battle." Sacred River said, "When this battle is over, our people and land will still be as bonded as an eagle to its nest." The 5 friends rode until they could hear the enemy gathering. Elk Morning said, "Remember, we can't be discovered. We should dismount our horses here and sneak through the grass." They saw the enemy just over the hill preparing for battle. Many warriors were putting on war regalia and mounting their horses. Cary's his bow said, "They are as many as the elk and the buffalo combined. We are outnumbered 10-1. Elk Morning said, "Let's go to Arrow Creek and report. We need to prepare and be ready to fight." Elk Morning and his friends hurried to Arrow Creek, where the chiefs and the people were building an encampment to take advantage of the steep inclines of the creek. The mountain crow spread out on 3 of the 4 sides of the entrenchment, while the river crow set up their defenses to the north in a ravine with higher ground. All of the bands became one nation for this battle. Elk Morning said, "Many enemy warriors will be here soon. It is good that we work together." Hunstadai gathered the young men who were not ready to be warriors and said to them, "Today you must become men and fight like men." A war cry rang out from the hills east of the creek. Elk Morning and his friends jumped on their horses to meet the danger. They rode out and surprised 8 enemy warriors. They charged right into them without fear. Their medicine was with them. Every Crow warrior in Elk Morning's party swung their coup stick with accuracy. The Crow horses were better and pushed the enemy horses back. One by one, the Crow braves took the enemy's weapons away. "Leave our land," they yelled. "We do not want this battle. Return to your chief and tell them we took your weapons and turned all of you away." The enemy warriors ran back into the main body of the enemy. Elk Morning and his friends followed just far enough to see the main body was angry. They were starting a great charge toward the Crow fort. Elk Morning said, "Let's get back to the fort, fast." The Strong Mountain said, "We just witnessed each other counting coup by taking the enemy's weapons. If we survive, we will tell the chiefs after the battle." Back at the camp, sings well, sun shines bright, pretty braids, brings great fortune left the lodges and went to the creek to carry water back to the older women and children. Lily Goodpath stayed in the lodges to help make a cover with blankets. When all the girls returned from getting water, she said, "Come, my friends, let's hurry with the shelters to protect the children from the enemy." Then, the alliance of enemies was on them, charging the Crow encampment repeatedly. Arrows darkened the sky. It was snowing arrows. Crow warriors raised their weapons to stand between the oncoming horde of warriors and the women running for shelters. Time after time, the Crow lines held. The women and the children were protected underground and in the lodges, with their piles of bedding on top of them. Still, the sound of the charging horses was terrifying. Because the creek banks were 15 feet high in places, the enemy was compressed so that no more than 50 at a time could cross. Every time the Crow were driven back by the enemy, they held ground. But they needed time to rest and regroup. One Crow warrior ran out into the enemy to taunt them, going back and forth in front of their line, making them fire bullets. And yet, he did not get shot. Another warrior did the same, and then another. Many heroes of the Crow found ways to keep buying time to regroup and rebuild the encampment. But the enemy kept coming. The Crow were tired. The women and the children were scared. Elk Morning touched the elk symbol on his shield. He said, "I know my medicine will not fail me." He looked at his friends who were praying. They also had faith. He saw many of the chiefs relying on their faith. It gave him confidence to keep going. Then Elk Morning realized one brave Crow warrior had charged through the lines and was speaking in sign language to the enemy. "You have come far by the size of your party, but 2 more bands of the Raven people are on their way to join us, and we will give you a great fight." Elk Morning asked Chief Praise in the Morning, "Is it true? I thought this was all of us." The great chief said, "No, it's not true. He's bluffing." Everyone was still and quiet as the brave warrior returned to the Crow lines. At the same time that the brave warrior was bluffing, a Crow woman walked outside the encampment and started a brush fire to spook the elk. As the fire grew, she prayed, "Old Man Coyote of the Obsolete people, you promised that you would return when we were in great danger. You would come back and help us. I now pray for you to come and help us survive today. Come, come." As the Crow were waiting for the next enemy charge, 3 unusual events occurred. First, the fire that the woman started spooked a herd of elk so that their white rumps, turned toward the battle, looked like war bonnets. Their hooves spit at the ground, creating dust into a cloud and noise that sounded like a herd of horses. The second unusual event happened when the noise of the elk spooked nearby buffalo to stampede into the enemy, creating so much dust that they could not see if it was buffalo or Crow warriors. Elk Morning watched as the enemy cowered in fear. The elk and the buffalo had stopped the enemy charge. But the third unusual event happened when Elk Morning saw the enemy shooting at something that wasn't there. They broke rank. One by one, the Alliance warriors started to leave the battleground. The Crow women and children heard a war cry, "Hokahay! Hokahay!" They looked from under the lodges and saw a mystic warrior who was causing the enemy to run. They said he was a ghost riding a pale horse. Lily Goodpath yelled out to Elk Morning, "Don't you see the warrior? He is racing among the enemy with a great spear, and they are terrified of him." Elk Morning and his friends searched, but they did not see him. "No," Strong Mountain yelled back. "I only see them falling and running away." The three events convinced the enemy to break and run. The Crow women could see the pale-faced warrior. Brave Hunter was close enough to the battle lines that he could hear the enemy chief speaking. "Let us leave this place. We have lost too many good warriors. This is the Crow land, forever." The battle was over. The day the enemy left the rich and abundant land of the Absaloga Crow, peace had come to the great land of great people. Elk Morning and his friends could now report that they had witnessed each other counting coup toward becoming chiefs. Chief Praise in the morning said, "All of you are alive. We lost many in this battle, but we have you and others to continue our people and our culture into the future. Soon you will become chiefs and lead us into many more challenges. I fear we have many days ahead of us that will take our best to survive." He gave them all another eagle feather to add to their coup sticks. As with the Crow tradition, ever since that day, the story of the Battle of Arrow Creek, the greatest event in Crow history, has been told and retold. Thanks for listening to Native Stories with Cary Morin. Elk Morning at the Battle of Arrow Creek is part of a series of children's books published by Bagada. Click on bagada.com for more info. That's BAKAATE.com. And this book was illustrated by Kevin Redstar. And please visit kevinredstar.com. You can find resources in the story of the Battle of Pryor Creek, as told by Joe Medicine Crow, at lib.lbhc.edu. Click on Crow Resources and then click on the Battle of Pryor Creek. This is also the best resource for all things about Crow Indians. Visit carymorin.com for a complete schedule of my shows and music. This show is recorded by me in the lab. The theme music is produced by me in the lab as well. My most recent album at the time of this production is a collection of 14 songs inspired by the paintings of famed Montana artist Charles M. Russell, who passed away in 1926 in Great Falls, Montana. The album is called Innocent Allies. Please visit innocentallies.com for more info. See you next time on Native Stories with Cary Morin.